Oh, hello. Well, good morning. So I thought I would come and tell you about my new fishing. So out in these parts in Canada, we have so many ponds and streams and lakes and rivers. So every time we go fishing, we go to a different one. So Daniel and Anna went to one yesterday and they caught a fish. And we ate it for dinner. It was really cool. She said it was very small and she had to add more fish from the refrigerator or from the freezer. It was really cool. And then yesterday evening, we went to a closer fishing place and we caught, no, we didn't catch, somebody else caught a fish. It was so quick, he just threw the line out and back and in came a fish. It was a bass. And it was so cool to watch and to ask him questions, and I said we were all beginners and he didn't really believe us. Until I told him I had caught a catfish when I was young, maybe 10 or 11, maybe 12. I don't know, maybe I have no idea, but I was young, living at home. And he said, you know how to catch a catfish. You take a lady's stocking, the sock of a lady's stocking, and you put a ball of dirt and worms in the bottom, and you throw it in, and you let it go down to the bottom. You don't even need a hook. And the catfish, in Canada, they don't like to eat catfish because they call them bottom cleaner, bottom suckers or something, and they think that they're full of pollutants or something, or it's just dirty on the bottom of the water. I don't know why it's dirtier on the bottom of the water. But this water is so clear, you can just see right through. It's really cool. You can see the fish through the water from the bridge, which is way up higher than the water, of course. Anyway, he said you throw a thing of that in the water and the catfish will just come and suck on it. You can just pull them right out. Isn't that interesting? I think I should try that. Be a lot better than getting hooks caught on the rocks. He said that you can catch tons of fish with one hook, with one worm. Of course, the price of fish in the store, I've never been able to really afford or justify buying fish. And we don't need that much protein, I didn't think. Anyway, he told me to put this worm on, or he had his son put the worm on my hook. Had a big hook. It was about that big, and it was a big one. It was like my thumb could fit in it. And he said that in that river, in that place, you can catch walleye and bass, large and smallmouth bass, and I don't know what else he said, crappie. Anyway, there's a lot of fish in that river. There's a lot of fish around. Anyway, so I'm learning how to fish. So I need a chart. Find out what kind of fish. Oh, I'll ask ChatGPT to write me one. Okay, let's get a chart. Well, first I'll show you what it is. So this one here is ChatGPT. And she may give you some false information, but if you ask her if she's sure. Okay, so let's see, what do we want to know? I want a chart that has the fish, the kind of lure, and the place in the water, and what kind of water. Right? Is that enough? I would like a list of the fish that are found in eastern Ontario. And I would like it to be a chart that shows the kind of fish, where it is located in the river, comma, the kind of river or body of water, and the kind of lure or bait. Okay, here she comes. All right, fish species. Okay, fish species. Northern pike likes weedy areas, shallow bays, in lakes and slow-moving rivers. Spinnerbaits, spoons, live minnows. Largemouth bass, weedy areas near structures, bridges. Warm, shallow lakes and ponds. Plastic worms, crankbait, and live worms. Smallmouth bass. Now I hear they're not in season until next week. Rocky areas near drop-offs. Clear, cool rivers, lakes. Jigs, crankbaits, live crayfish. Isn't this perfect? Oh my gosh, look at this chart. You know, I used to have to get a drive to the library and go research it and look it up, right? Or go look in the encyclopedia. Sometimes they'd have things like this. Walleye, deep pools near structures. Large lakes, rivers. Yeah, walleye was one he said we could catch there. Jigs, live minnows, night crawlers. So worms. There's a lot of turnover in bought lures, aren't there? Like they get caught and then they break their line, they get hung up on wires overhead or anything. And yellow perch, near vegetation, sandy bottoms, lakes, slow rivers, small jigs, live worms, minnows. Crappie. I think these are all things that are found. Well, largemouth bass are in lakes and ponds, but you can get them in that river too. So walleyes, deep pools near structures, large lakes, rivers, caught with jigs, live minnows, night crawlers. I already did yellow perch, didn't I? Crappie, near submerged structures, lakes, reservoirs, and rivers. Small jigs, live minnows, soft plastics. Bluegill, near vegetation, shallow areas. Lakes, ponds. Small jigs, live worms, crickets. Isn't it neat how Heavenly Father gave us everything we need? Muskellunge, or muskellunge, which is a muskie. Near vegetation, structures. Large lakes, rivers. Large crankbaits, bucktails, and live suckers. What's a live sucker? Is that what's that thing? Leech? Is a live sucker a leech? What's a sucker? Brook trout. Cold, clear streams, rivers. We have them in our stream. Streams, small rivers. Spinners, flies, live worms. Lake trout. Deep, cold waters, deep lakes. Spoons, jigs, live bait fish. Okay. What kind of ground is best to find earthworms? Moist soil. Earthworms require a damp environment to breathe through their skin, so they're commonly found in moist soil. Good morning, chickadee. Overly dry or waterlogged soil is not ideal for them. Rich organic soil. Soil rich in organic matter, such as compost or decomposing leaves, is attractive to earthworms. They feed on organic material, so areas with abundant decomposing plant matter are ideal. Loamy soil. Loam, a balanced mixture of sand, silt, and clay, is ideal for earthworms because it retains moisture well without becoming waterlogged. It allows for easy movement and burrowing. Shady areas. Earthworms are often found in shaded areas because these spots tend to retain moisture better than sunny locations. You know where you can find lots of worms? After it rains, sidewalks, roads. Yeah, sometimes after a lot of rain, you drive down a road and you can just see it's covered with worms. Earthworms are often found in shaded areas because these spot undisturbed soils. Areas that are not frequently disturbed by human activity, such as gardening or construction, tend to have higher earthworm populations. They prefer stable environments where they can burrow undisturbed. Common locations to find them include under mulch or leaf litter in gardens, in compost piles, in damp areas of lawns, especially after rain, under rocks, logs, or other objects that create a moist, shaded environment. Gently turn over the soil for organic matter to avoid harming them. Alright, there we go. So now I have my information. Create another chart with the names of the fish found in eastern Ontario and what was the other thing I wanted to know? The size of hooks. Okay, northern pike hook size 2/0 to 4/0. Same. Largemouth bass, the same. Smallmouth bass 1/0 to 2/0. Walleye is 1 to 2/0. Perch is 6 to 8. Crappie is 6 to 8. Bluegill is 8 to 10. Muskie is 5/0 to 8/0. Brook trout is 8 to 12, and lake trout is 2/0 to 4/0. I don't know how those writings mean. How do I interpret those numbers? Understanding hook sizes is important for selecting the right hook for the type of fish you're targeting. Here's how to interpret the numbers. Hook size numbering. Hook sizes are indicated by numbers. Small numbers correspond to larger hooks, and larger numbers correspond with smaller hooks. When dealing with single-digit sizes, when the size is followed by a 0, for instance 1/0, 2/0, the hook sizes increase with the number. For example, a 2/0 hook is larger than a 1/0 hook. Okay, I see. Range of hook sizes. Small hooks, for instance, size 8 to 12, used for smaller fish like bluegill, crappie, and brook trout. The larger the number, the smaller the hook. Medium hooks, size 1 to 6, 6 to 1. Suitable for medium-sized fish like yellow perch and smaller walleye. Large hook, 1/0 to 4/0, used for larger fish like largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and larger walleye. Extra large hooks, for instance 5/0 to 8/0, needed for very large fish such as northern pike and muskie. Visual representation of hook sizes. Here's a simplified visual guide. Size for small fish, 8. No, it says 10, less than 8, less than 6. So larger hook for small fish. Sizes for medium fish, 4, less than 2, less than 1, or 1/0 for larger hooks. Size for large fish, 2/0, less than 3/0, less than 4/0, larger hooks. Sizes for very large fish, 5/0, 6/0, 8/0. When selecting fishing line, what does it mean if the spool says 350? When selecting fishing line, the number 350 on the spool typically indicates the length of the line in yards. Here are the key points to understand. Length of line. A spool labeled with 350 means it contains 350 yards of fishing line. This is important for determining how much line you have available for your fishing needs. Other specifications to consider. Pound test. This indicates the strength of the fishing line or how much weight the line can handle before breaking. For example, a 10-pound test line can handle up to 10 pounds of weight. Diameter. The thickness of the line, usually measured in millimeters or inches. Thicker lines are stronger but more visible in water. Ooh, I see. Is that important? Suppose so. She wouldn't have mentioned it. Material. Different materials have different properties. Monofilament. Versatile and affordable with good stretch and abrasion resistance. Fluorocarbon. Less visible in water with low stretch and higher abrasion resistance. Monofilament. Good stretch. Fluorocarbon. Less visible with low stretch and higher abrasion resistance. Braided. Extremely strong and thin with no stretch. Good for heavy cover fishing. Example label interpretation. We see a spool labeled 350 yards, 10-pound tense monofilament. The length of the line on the spool, the strength of the line suitable for fish up to 10 pounds, and the material of the line, which will have the characteristics of filament. Okay, now, make me a chart for those same fish and what kind of line is needed. So, let's see if we need the same kind of line for everything. Certainly. Here is a chart that lists the common fish found in Eastern Ontario along with the recommended fishing line type and pound test for each species. Northern pike, braided or fluorocarbon, 20 to 30 pound test. Largemouth bass, monofilament or braided, 10 to 20 pounds. Smallmouth bass, monofilament or fluorocarbon, 8 to 14 pounds. Walleye, monofilament or fluorocarbon, 8 to 12 pounds. Yellow perch, monofilament, 4 to 8 pounds. Crappie, monofilament, 2 to 6 pounds. Bluegill, monofilament, 2 to 6 pounds. Muskie, braided, 50 to 80 pounds. Brook trout, monofilament or fluorocarbon, 4 to 6 pounds. Lake trout, braided with fluorocarbon leader, 12 to 20 pounds. That's interesting, eh? Explanation. Northern pike braided line is preferred for its strength and resistance to abrasion from pike's sharp teeth. Sharp teeth. Ugh. Fluorocarbon can be used as a leader due to its invisibility in water. Largemouth bass. Monofilament offers good stretch and shock absorption. Braided line is also used in heavy cover. Smallmouth bass. Fluorocarbon is favored for its low visibility, while monofilament is also a good option. Walleye. Fluorocarbon's low visibility is beneficial in clear water. Monofilament is also suitable due to its flexibility. Okay, so we've got the rest of that. Alright, now there's another thing I need to know. Make me a chart of these fish and what depth of the water the bait should be at. Alright, here we go. Northern pike. Recommended depth 4 to 15 feet near the surface in weedy areas. Largemouth bass 1 to 10 feet near structures and vegetation. Smallmouth bass 5 to 20 feet around rocky areas and drop-offs. Walleye 10 to 30 feet near the bottom in deeper waters. 10 to 30 feet. Yellow perch 5 to 15 feet near the bottom or mid-water. Crappie 5 to 20 feet near submerged structures and brush piles. Bluegill 1 to 10 feet near the surface in shallow areas. Muskie 5 to 15 feet near the surface or mid-water in weedy areas. Brook trout 1 to 5 feet in shallow clear streams. Lake trout 20 to 80 feet in deep cold water. 20 to 80 feet. Northern pike. These fish are often found in shallow weedy areas. Target depths are used typically 4 to 15 feet. So this is going to reiterate the whole thing. So that's interesting. Okay. If a river has a fast-moving current and eddies to the side or just still areas to the side, where should the fishing pole go for what kind of fish? In chart form, please. Okay. Fish species. Fast-moving currents. Oh, and eddies, still areas. Okay. So the species, pike are rarely found in fast-moving areas, near the still areas, especially with weeds or cover. Largemouth bass, rarely found, and they like the still. That's in the fast-moving. Largemouth bass near the still areas, especially around structures. Smallmouth bass near rocky or boulder areas in the current. Rocky or boulder areas in the current. Okay. And in eddies and still areas adjacent to the current. Walleye at the bottom behind structures that break the current. Isn't this interesting? In the slower moving water and deeper pools. Yellow perch. So none of these are found in fast-moving water. Brook trout are near the edges of fast currents, especially around rocks. Lake trout are not typically found in rivers. Interesting. So we've got walleye in the slow-moving water and deeper pools. yellow perch in the slow-moving areas near vegetation, crappie near submerged structures and still areas, bluegill in still shallow areas near vegetation, muskie in still areas with cover such as weeds or logs or weed beds, brook trout in calm pools and eddies, particularly where food collects. Lures that have lots of sets of hooks on them are good for catching what kind of fish, and where would you use them so that they wouldn't get caught? In a chart, please. Multiple sets of hooks are called treble hooks. Where to use them to minimize snagging. Alright, northern pike, large crankbaits, baits and spinner baits, open water, edges of weed beds. Largemouth bass, crankbaits, topwater lures. Open water near structures but with some clearance. Smallmouth bass, crankbaits and jerkbaits, rocky areas, open water near drop-off. Walleye, crankbaits and jerkbaits, open water, deep pools. Musky, open water, edges of weed beds and around structures with clearance. And trout, lake trout, deep diving crankbaits and spoons, open deep water. Avoid casting into dense vegetation to prevent snagging. Avoid heavy cover areas to minimize snags for largemouth bass. Smallmouth bass, avoid vegetation and dense cover. Walleye, use crankbaits and jerkbaits in open water or deep pools. Walleye are often found near the bottom, so ensure the area is relatively free of obstructions. Muskie, large crankbaits and topwater lures work well. Target open water, edges of weed beds, and structures with enough clearance to avoid snags. Lake trout, deep diving crankbaits and spoons are effective in deep open water. Avoid areas with submerged structures to prevent snagging. Alright, okay, so now we know what kind of fish we're going to find, what part of the river or lake they'll be in, what kind of bait to use, could you please list all the kinds that can be caught with worms? I'm going to start with worms. Okay, I've reached my limit. I have to wait 5 hours before I can do this again. Okay, so pike, night crawlers, largemouth bass, night crawlers, and red wigglers. Red wigglers are the ones you buy for your garden. Smallmouth bass, night crawlers, and red wigglers. Walleye, night crawlers, yellow perch, night crawlers, crappie, red wigglers, and mealworms. Bluegill, red wigglers, and mealworms. Brook trout, night crawlers, red wigglers. Channel catfish, night crawlers. Bullhead, night crawlers. Carp, night crawlers. Rock bass, night crawlers, and red wigglers. Pumpkin seed, red wigglers, and mealworms. Sunfish, All right. Interesting. Oh, so I can't ask her any more questions. What was my other question I was going to ask? So now I know the size of the hook, the size of the line, where each fish is found, and the kind of bait to use. It looks like I can use worms for everything. Night crawlers. And the guy said that for $7.50 for a box of worms, it's a lot of money for a few worms. I think you get 15 worms or so, or something like that. But the price of fish, right? If you're going to buy fish, price of fish is out of this world. $7 for a little piece of fish. Okay. So I can't ask her anything else. Not for 5 hours. So what time is it? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So this afternoon I can ask her other things. I think I'm going to send all this to the printer. I'm not sure how to do that exactly. Share this whole chat, and I'm going to send it to share the link. Oh, I can send it to the printer? No. I can send it. I couldn't load content. Alright, well, I guess I have to just... Okay, let me see if I can go to this, and I'll tap, and I will copy the text. And then I guess I have to put it in notes. Okay, so this one was my latest question. I could send that to my printer. I could figure that out. Print. Okay. Print. Alright, now we're going to go back to let's go back to chat and see if we can. So that's the night crawlers. This is a different one. Copy this. I guess it allows you to copy. Okay, now paste it into a new document. Paste. And I'll send it to the printer. Print. Print. Do you need to see how I'm doing this? Okay, so then we're done with that one. We'll get, okay, so chat. So I go up here. So that's the second one I just did. So that was the lures. Okay, so I'm up at the next area. So I tap on it. And I copy. And then I go to notes. And I get a new note and I touch it. and I paste, and I go this arrow up here thing, and I go to print, and I print, and I go back to the text, ChatGPT. I scroll up until I get to the end of another one. I'll select here, copy, go to my notes, make a new note, paste, send, print. I've already selected the printer and all that. Print, and done. And I think that was the last of it. Oh no, we have another one up here. So here's another one. We go select or copy, and we'll go to notes, and we'll paste, and the arrow thing to send it, and down here to the printer, print, print, done. Okay, that was about the filament wire. Back to chat, go up further to the, before my last one. Alright, so we'll just copy this thing here. This is all about hook sizes. Copy. So I should probably copy and paste every time, and every time I've asked a question, I should. Okay, have I got it all? I guess I asked her a lot of questions. Copy. Paste. Print. Print. Done. This was the hook sizes. And the next is now this is a good chart here. Copy, go to that, make a new one, put it there, paste, send it to the printer, print. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Anyway, anything that's in here is already, it's saved, right? So I don't have to so I can, if I didn't print it out, or if I printed two of one and not another one or something, then I can find it later. Okay. Okay, oh, I want to know the times of day. What time of day is best for catching these various fish? Alright, I think I'll just touch it now. Copy it. And put it in notes. Oops, make a new note. Paste. And then send and print. And print. And done. Okay. Make that into a chart. Look, she's doing it even though I'm beyond my... See, this is free, right? So, still going. Fish species, northern pike. Morning, dawn to late morning, evening, late afternoon to dusk, night, dusk to dawn. Largemouth bass, morning, dawn to late morning, late afternoon to evening. Smallmouth bass, morning, dawn to late morning. Okay, so let's print this. We'll touch it. And we'll copy it. And we will put it in here. Put a new one. Paste. Send it. Print. Print. Alright. I don't know if my you can't send it directly to a printer from here, from chat. Right? If you touch this, what is this? And this other side is just a list of the ones that I've done. You can take a photo of it if you want. Okay. Who knows what it'll turn out to look like. I hope it works. So now I know when to go, where to go, what kind of hook, what kind of line, what part of the body of water, how deep. And I think I can just use earthworms for everything. So I think the thing to do then would be to start finding the places to find earthworms, night crawlers. I think the road after a rain is a good idea. So exciting. I'm learning. Alright, so I have fished twice so far. I'm over 65, so I don't have to have a license. Oh, I need to know which fish am I allowed to fish. Give me a chart of when in eastern Ontario I'm allowed to fish these species. Alright, here we go. Northern pike, open season, generally year-round. Largemouth bass, open season, typically from late June to November. Smallmouth bass, open season, typically from late June to late November. Walleye, open season, typically from mid-May to late November. Yellow perch, open season, generally year-round. Crappie, open season, typically from May. Remember, okay, let me copy this chart. We shall go to notes. I'll make a new chart. I'll paste. Oh, you have to make a chart thing first on here. I'll send it to the printer and print. Okay. So what does open season mean? Let me ask her that. What does open season mean? Refers to a period during which it is legal to fish for a particular species. During the open season, anglers are permitted to catch and keep fish of the specific species, subject to any applicable regulations such as catch limits, size restrictions, and gear restrictions. Outside of the open season, fishing for that species is typically prohibited or restricted to catch and release, depending on local regulations. These restrictions are often put in place to help manage fish populations sustainably, allowing fish to spawn and reproduce without disturbance during certain times of the year. The exact timing of the open season for a particular species can vary depending on factors such as species reproductive cycle, population health, and conservation. Okay. In Ontario, where can you generally find copies of the regulations? The Ontario Ministry of Northern Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry. Oh, it's not the NMR anymore. It's NDMNFR website. Typically provides access to current fishing regulations, including details on open seasons, catches, and blah, blah, blah. Ontario Fish and the official website is a good resource. The summary, Ontario Fishing Regulations Summary, outlines the regulations, the entire province. Copies of the summary available at tackle shops, outdoor retailers, bait shops, and marinas, and conservation authority offices throughout Ontario. Fish and wildlife conservation officers can tell you. Ontario outdoor cards and fishing licenses, so you receive it when you get your license. The regulations booklet is included to ensure anglers are aware of comply. Online resources, NDMNRF website provides the downloadable versions. Alright, but that's important, because if you do it wrong, you get in trouble and pay a lot of money, I think. Well, do you feel smarter? I feel smarter, more knowledgeable. I understand fishing a little bit better. So, I think to catch the most kind of fish, given the questions above, to catch the most kind of fish, what is the best hook, line, place to catch fish? I didn't ask it about sinkers. I'm going to erase this and ask her, when do you use a sinker? Sinkers are commonly used in fishing to help bait or lures sink to the desired depth in the water. Here are some situations when you might want to use it. Deep water fishing, strong currents, bottom fishing, adjusting depth, casting distance. You can increase the casting distance. Okay. I'll just print that out as well. Okay, I had another question. Hook, line, and sinkers. Do you have any other questions? What was the question I was going to ask? I was going to ask her, so in summary, what kind of hook, line, and sinker and bait will catch the most fish without having to change the hook, line, or sinker or bait? To maximize your chance of catching fish without having to frequently change your setup, that's the word. You'll want to use a versatile rig. What's a rig? That works well for fishing, for a variety of fishing conditions and target species. Here's a summary of a rig that can be effective in many different. Hook. A medium hook, size 2:1. Standard J hook or circle hook. Monofilament line is good all-around choice for most fishing. Affordable, versatile, and has some stretch, which can be helpful for shortening the shock of a fish's strike. Pound test. Choose a line strength appropriate for the fish size you expect to catch in the area you're fishing. For general freshwater fishing, a 6 to 10 pound test line is suitable. Sinker. Use a basic split shot sinker, which is easy to attach and adjust on your line. Split shot sinkers come in various sizes and allow you to adjust the amount of weight to match the fishing conditions. Size. Start with small to medium sized split shot sinker and add or remove weight as needed to adjust your bait's sinking rate. Bait. Night crawlers or earthworms are highly effective and versatile baits. Alternately, if you prefer artificial bait, soft plastic grubs or worms are effective imitations of live bait and can be used in a series of variety of fishing situations. Morning, Casey. So this versatile rig with a medium-sized hook, monofilament line, split shot sinker, and either live or artificial bait. You can target a lot without changing. Adjustments to the height of the... Alright, now I need to know, what are all the terms? Give me a chart defining the terms used in fishing. We're going to know what to do, aren't we? We're going to have it together. We're going to go out there. We're going to know what we're doing. Angler. A person who fishes, typically for recreation or sport. Recreation and sport, aren't they the same thing? Don't they fish for food? Bait. any substance used to attract fish, catch and release, drag. The adjustable mechanism on a fishing reel that controls the amount of resistance when a fish pulls on the line. Lure, artificial bait designed to resemble natural prey and attract fish. Monofilament, single strand fishing line, pound test, rig. A rig is the combination of hook, line, sinker, and bait, or lure. Sinker, attached weight, tackle. Fishing equipment, including rods, reels, lines, hook, lures, and other accessories. Good. Alright, now will I be able to talk to everybody that talks about fish? I think I've covered a lot of area in this. So, we've got the time of day. Do we know the weather conditions? What are the best weather conditions for these fish? Northern pike, overcast or partly cloudy conditions are often ideal. Mild temperatures. So northern pike is low light. Okay, I'm going to select this and copy, and I'm going to go to my notes, make a new note, paste, and print. Okay, then that was another question I had. Oops, wrong icon. Alright. I think I'm going to go back and copy this too, this chart up above of the names of things. Done. New note. Chart. Paste. Why does it not? Doesn't do it right though, right? See if I can do that again. Maybe point form. Paste. Done. This one, print. Probably in there saying it's out of paper. Okay, there we go. I must have covered everything by now. I think this is good. So I'm going to know about fishing. I've always heard that the fish are biting when it's cloudy in the early morning and late afternoon, evening. When you play Minecraft, you catch a fish at the ends and beginning of the day too. Okay. So, it's kind of overcast, but I don't really feel like getting up and doing anything. I don't think I had a great sleep. Okay then. Well, this has been fun, hasn't it? Thanks for coming along. Please like, subscribe, and comment. What did you think of this? Do you fish? Tell me about your fishing experiences and what you catch where you are. Or some things you've learned. Is there something you've learned that I could learn from? Okay, talk to you later. Bye.